Welcome everyone. In this video we are going to discuss PROSE-6 on the rule of the road written by A.G. Gardiner. A.G. Gardiner, Alfred George Gardiner, was a British journalist and author. He was born in 2nd June in the year 1865 and died in 3rd March in the year 1946. He was a prolific essayist, and his style and subject matter easily qualified him to be categorized what the English would call a very civilized gentleman. Through his writing, easily we can qualify him that he was a well-civilized gentleman in English. So he wrote many essays on the methods of becoming a civilized man. The most of his writings reveals the civilized man, how the man became very cultured. His essays include On Habits, On Being Tidy, and On Talk and Talkers, on the Rule of the Road was included one of the Gardiner's compilation titled Leaves in the Wind. So these lessons were extracted from the Leaves in the Wind, that is a compilation of all his writings, and was published under the pseudonym Alpha of the Plug. The pseudonym is nothing but is the pen name. The most of the writer did not want to reveal their original name, so they got their pen name for the writing. That is called pseudonym Alpha of the Plug. A.G. Gardiner defines the rule of the road in the following way. It means that in order that the liberty of all may be preserved, if the liberty of everybody must be curtailed. In another way, each person must have some limits on her freedom, in order to enjoy the freedom that comes from the social order. So this is the main idea in his essay. So he insists how to follow the traffic rules. The small things can bring the big change. Now let's see the glossary. The confusion means mess, that's called puzzle. The peril, risk. The pedestrian, the person who walk on the street. Chaos, that is called confusion. Anarchy, lawlessness or rebellion, that is called not in order. Preserved, maintained, keep up. Then curtail, reduced. Tyranny, autocracy or dictatorship. Insolence, rudeness. Interfere, hinder, that's a disturbance. Contract, that is commitment. Indifferent, unconcerned, that's not interested. Fancy, desire, so vicious. A shandy is a combination of beer and lemonade. A ridiculous, a comical or silly or foolishness. A conventional, the normal or traditional. Fit in with. Consideration, scrutiny. It's a deep consideration. Now let's move to the prose. A stout old lady was walking with her basket down the middle of a street in the Petrograd to the great confusion of traffic and with no small peril to herself. Once there was a very strong old lady who was walking in the middle of the street with her basket, but she did not find any small risk. So while crossing the heavy traffic road, it was pointed out to her that the pavement was the place for pedestrians. But she replied, I am going to walk where I like. We have got liberty now. So when we point out the lady, there was a pavement for the pedestrian. And she replied that she could able to walk wherever she liked because she got liberty. It did not occur to the dear old lady that if liberty entitled the pedestrian to walk down the middle of the road, then end of such liberty would be universal chaos. Suppose no one follow the rules. If they want to take the individual liberty, so it became a universal confusion. So everyone to curtail their individual liberty. Everybody would be getting in everybody else's way and nobody would get anywhere. If there is a confusion among ourselves, if we disturb others or someone disturbs us, we cannot move further. We cannot get anywhere. We cannot go further. Individual liberty would have become social anarchy. So nowadays, everyone takes the individual liberty in their hand. So it became a social lawlessness. There is no order in the society. Anarchy would exist over liberty because if everyone was free to do as they pleased, there is a danger of world getting liberty drunk in these days, like the old lady with the basket And it is a just well to remind ourselves of what the rules of the road means. So nowadays, no one want to follow the rules because they thought they have freedom and they want to do all the things not in order. So that is called liberty. They obsess the mind with the liberty. So look at the old lady. She also they never follow the traffic rules because she simply walking the road with a basket. So it is essential not to lose ourselves in the concept of liberty and understand what the rules of the road is. It means that in order to the liberty of all may be preserved means here maintained. The liberty of everybody must be curtailed. If you want to maintain the social liberty means so we have to curtail the individual liberty. When the policeman, say at a Piccoli circus, step into the middle of the road and puts out his hands, he is the symbol not of tyranny but of liberty. So Piccoli Circus is a very famous. The place it is located in London. So it was located at the six-way junction. It's a heavy traffic place, and the police came in the middle of the street and raised his hand. So we should not consider it's not a symbol of tyranny. It is a symbol of liberty because he is doing his work to maintain the social liberty without any disturbance. You may not think so. You may, being in a hurry and seeing your car pulled up by his insolence of office, feel that your liberty has been outraged. Sometimes we get angry with the policeman. Suppose if the policeman takes your car to the police station, you may think your individual liberty is violated, so you got angry with that man. How dare this fellow interfere with your free use of the public highway? Then, if you are the reasonable man, you will reflect that if he did not interfere with you, he would interfere with no one, and the result would be the Piccadilly Circus would be a maelstrom that you would never cross at all. One may believe that such law enforcement is bringing on the others of freedom, but a reasonable person will also understand the law enforcement is what allows the semblance of order to exist in the world, which in turn support the true liberty. We must feel like that. If he fails to control you, so he will not control others, then there would be a crowd. So there will be a maelstrom, there will be heavy traffic in the near the Piccadilly Circus. So you have submitted curtailment of private liberty in order that you may enjoy the social order, which makes your liberty a reality. If anyone wants to enjoy the social liberty, there is a social orderliness. So we have to curtail our individual liberty, that is called the private liberty, to make the liberty as a reality one. Liberty is not a personal affair only, but a social contract. It is an accommodation of interest. We can see that liberty is a social contract, an acceptance of everyone's need and an accommodation of them. In matters which do not touch anybody else's liberty, of course, I may be as free as I like. In all the things, we can enjoy our individual liberty as much as until it disturbs others. If I choose to go down the road in a dressing gown, who shall say me nay? Nay means I can no. You have liberty to laugh at me, but I have liberty to indifferent to you. And if I have fancy for dyeing my hair, or waxing my mustache, which heaven forbid, or wearing an overcoat and sandals, or going to bed late, getting up early, I shall follow my fancy and ask no man's permission. Here, he lists out some examples of like, so wearing a gown and walking down the street, the having long hair, the walking with the barefoot, the sandals, dyeing one's hair, or waxing his mustache, so going to bed early and get up late, are the few things that are no man's permission. So for doing all our individual desires, so we need not to take anyone's permission to do it, because so these things will not disturb others. It will not enter others' liberty. I shall not inquire of your whether I may eat mustard with my mutton. So no need to get any permission to eat mutton with the mustard. It's your individual liberty, your own desire. It will not disturb others' liberty. And you will not ask me whether you may follow this religion or that. So you have the liberty to follow any one of the religions in this world. There is no restriction for that. Whether you may prefer Ella Wheeler Wilcox to Wordsworth, I can prefer any one of the readers. It's my choice. It's our own choice. A champagne or shandy. I can prefer champagne or the shandy. It's my own choice. So no need others' permission. In all these and a thousand other details, you and I please ourselves and us no one's live. There are a number of things are like that to enjoy ourselves without disturbing others' liberty. We have a whole kingdom in which we rule alone. We can do what we choose, be wise or ridiculous, harsh or easy, conventional or odd. In our own kingdom, so we can be very intelligent or very foolish, ridiculous, so harsh, rude or gentle, or conventional or odd, because in your kingdom it will not disturb others. You can rule alone. So you will be whatever you want to be. But when we step out of the kingdom, our personal liberty of action becomes qualified by others people's liberty. But when we come out of our kingdom into the street that's a public, so our individual liberty is qualified by the other people's liberty. The personal liberty of action becomes qualified by other people's liberty. So I might be practiced to the trombone from midnight till the 3 in the morning. If I went on to the top of the Everest to it, I could please myself. But if I do it in my bedroom, my family will object. And if I do it out in the streets, the neighbors will remind me that my liberty to blow the trombone must not interfere with their liberty to sleep in quiet. If I want to play the trombone at the top of the Everest means I will enjoy it. Suppose if I do it in my room, it will disturb the family members if they come and object me. And also, if I try to play the trombone in the middle of the street, the neighbors will object me because my liberty will disturb their liberty. So while they were sleeping quietly in the night. There are a lot of people in the world, and I have to accommodate my liberty to their liberties. We are all able to forget this, and unfortunately, we are much more conscious of the imperfection of others in the respect than of our own. There are a number of people in the world, and the author says that he have to fit in with his liberty to their liberty, and we have to preserve the both individual liberty and the social liberty. We are all likely to forget this, and unfortunately, we are much more conscious of imperfection of others in this respect than of our own. The most of the people fail to find their own faults, so always are interested in finding fault with the others. A reasonable consideration for the rights or feelings of others is the foundation of social conduct. So it is a basic thing to develop the social behavior. So we need to understand the other's feelings and others' right. It is the small matters of conduct in the observance of the rules of the road that we pass judgment upon ourselves and declare that we are civilized or uncivilized. So we have to make a self-analyze. In a small observance of the rules of the road, we can pass the judgment ourselves and we can declare whether we are cultured or uncultured. So we have to follow the rules of the roads. The great moments of heroism and sacrifice are rare. So nowadays, it's not easy to find the heart, brave heart and sacrifice. It became a rare thing. It is the little habit of commonplace intercourse that make up the great sum of life and sweeten or make the bitter the journey. These little habits of commonplace intercourse that make up the great sum of life and sweeten or make bitter the journey. The way of approach other people in the public place so will bring the broader social conduct in a well manner. So we should be very cautious, so not disturbing others' liberty. So we can enjoy our own liberty as much as until it disturbs others. Thank you for watching it.